millennials are our biggest thing. How do we communicate with them? And now we're getting to the other side of that. And I think that's really
and that's
funny.
what's going to keep being.
Yeah.
And then in 5 years, he's going to be asking whatever the next one is. What we're doing.
Exactly.
Please welcome Jacob Chang. He is going to focus on what are you missing about how Gen Z uses social media. He is the marketing and trends director for JUV Consulting. So Jacob, why don't you tell us a little bit about you and JUV Consulting?
Yeah, of course. So my name is Jacob. I'm the director of marketing and trends for Juve. And Juve is essentially a marketing consultancy that works with companies and organizations of all sizes on how best to target their social media presence, their marketing, and their advertising towards Generation Z, and how best to appeal to this generation, right? Because oftentimes these companies try to do things to appeal to us, but fail because they're using something outdated or just doing it in a way that doesn't really resonate with us. And since we are a team consisting just of Gen Z people, we believe we best represent our generation and how to, and can bring that advice to companies. So that's what we do. And I'm the director of marketing and trends, which means that I'm responsible for our branding and what our company looks like to the outside who don't really know what we do. I'm in charge of our social media, and I also am just constantly up to date with what's going on with Gen Zers, constantly online connected and talking to people, making sure that I know everything that's going on and everything that's changing in this rapidly changing sphere. So, yeah.
Jacob? Where's home for you, Jacob?
Sorry?
Where's
home
for you?
So I'm from Princeton, New Jersey, but I actually go to college in Chicago. So
very cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what we don't know about Gen Z and how they use social media.
Yeah, of course. So I have a little spiel. Probably won't take all of the time, but if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask at the end. So I'm gonna really start by differentiating first what a millennial on social media and what a Gen Zer on social media means, because even though both are important to understand, I'm focusing on Gen Z, and Gen Z is a really underrated market and often confused with millennials. So yeah, first, millennials are digital natives, which means that they essentially were born into the world of computers and even cell phones for some. So they know how to use all these things and they use social media. However, how they use it are basically keeping in contact with old friends and posting pictures and things like that, sharing what's going on in their lives. But what Gen Z does is that they were born into social media and they're social media natives. And essentially, right from the start of their lives, they've been on these networks and building their own identity through those. And for them, social media is a way to tell their story and tell their lives to the people who follow them and who they're friends with. And in that way, it's very performative. It's much like being on a stage and showing to everyone who you are and who you want to portray yourself as. So that's really the main difference. Millennials, to an extent, just use social media as a tool to keep in contact with people, while Gen Z Gen Z understands it completely differently and uses it as this kind of identity. So the first thing I really want to talk about that it concerns Instagram. And Instagram, I believe, is currently the most important social media platform for Gen Zers. That's obviously going to keep changing in the near future, but right now it's Instagram. And so one of the things we're seeing on Instagram is the rise of feeds and themes on these feeds. So essentially, when you first go onto someone's profile on Instagram, you're not met with a picture or something right away. What you see is a grid of all of this person's pictures. And because Gen Z has such a short attention span and such a gratification first mindset, when we look at this feed, we really want to see something that wows us right away. And that's why all the big influencers, all the big celebrities on Instagram, the people with the most popular accounts, all have these really pretty themes with color, like all their pictures might be blue tinted or yellow tinted or something like that. And when you look at a feed like that, you immediately see, wow, this guy's well put together. They know how to impress me, and I want to keep going and want to look more. Instead, if you have a feed that isn't as appealing, they might just click out and be uninterested. So that's one of the main things. Additionally, another trend with Instagram is, with Gen Z on Instagram, is the rise of Finstagrams or Finstas. And I'm not sure if you guys know about this at all, but essentially these are private Instagram accounts only open to close friends to the owner of the account. So instead of having this Instagram account where you have friends and acquaintances following you and seeing what you can do, this is a private account with maybe 10 to 50 people who are very close to you. And what you'd be posting on this is extremely non-traditional things, posts with long captions, ugly pictures. It's essentially a dumping ground for teenagers to just post whatever they're thinking or whatever is on their mind, without having to show that to the whole world who follows them. And so this really drives the point home that Gen Z is both authentic through their public accounts, but also performative through things like Finstas. And even then, Finstas are to an extent curated because you are choosing what you put on it, choosing what ugly pictures of yourself to put on, what long captions to write, even though they might be more honest than what they're showing through their more open accounts. So those are two really important trends going on with Instagram and how Gen Z uses that. And now I'm going to continue more to a broader, view on social media as a whole. So one of the big things that Gen Z is really, really appreciating right now is meme culture. And memes are huge. Everyone tweets about memes. They post Facebook memes. And that's partly because Gen Z loves sharing experiences with each other. And memes are funny, and laughing and sharing and humor is one way they can really share this kind of experience. So this has given way to the rise of Facebook meme groups. There are a lot of college meme groups. There's like the original one is UC Berkeley memes for teens, and more have sprung up from there. There are even ones specifically for a niche. There's transport teens for people who enjoy transportation and travel. And there are even Instagram accounts just dedicated to posting memes. And those have tons and tons of followers because of how powerful memes are and sharing them with each other is. So that's one really, really important thing about how Gen Z uses social media to share memes and share in that humor and love for experiences. Another thing is that Gen Z is really enjoys being a part of some subculture or some movement. And so there are a lot of services like Tumblr, like Reddit and 4chan, where you can find groups of people who share like-minded interests or things like TV shows, anime even, certain types of music, things like that, where they can just have discussions with each other about that they might not have been able to before, which is really cool and really good. And these subcultures give way to a more Gen Z-based vernacular. And there are a lot of words, I'm sure, that you guys just have never heard of that come out of young people's mouths. And these might come from this subculture, or they might come from something small and become mainstream because people enjoy saying it and because people think this is something I want to be a part of. A really good example of this actually is from anime. There's this anime that came out a long time ago where someone said, "You're already dead" in Japanese in a really, really funny accent, in a really funny way. And it started a whole rise in how these people view the show and how people share like this phrase now through memes and just like through commenting. And honestly, it's become kind of a mainstream trend for Gen Z just because it started from this anime subculture and has grown out and now reached the public through that. And so vernacular might come from that, or they might also come from things that are just funny or entertaining, like the trend of quoting vines. People really love quoting vines because they can apply in a lot of situations and they can relate to them. And for example, there's this vine where someone says, "I can't believe you've done this." And there are a lot of examples where people can say that to someone and reply to someone with that if they've, you know, just like done something bad or something like that. And so quoting vines has become a sensation and trend for a lot of Gen Zers. So now something I think that is really important and something that makes Gen Z really unique is the importance that video games has on the age group as a whole. So I'm sure all of you have heard of Fortnite. If not, it's a really popular game.
Love Fortnite.
Within youth. Yeah. So
big
really
PUBG
popular.
player.
Yeah, exactly. So it's become a huge sensation just basically overnight this year. And that's really because it's a subset of games that feels competitive spirit, but also collaboration because you can play on as a team. And it's also really easy to learn, but hard to master. And people really like being able to dive right into things, but not have their hand held the whole way. So that's something that Fortnite excels at, and that's partly why it's been so successful with the young crowd. And finally, it's free to play, but it also has customization options that you can pay for, which allows both sides of the spectrum and of Generation Z to really play and do what they want with the game. And so through the rise of gaming in Gen Z, we've seen a boom in the esports industry, which has become hugely profitable and just insane how big some of the prize pools have become. Personally, like my friends and I went to a CSGO tournament a year ago or so, just to watch, and the arena was completely packed, and it was a great experience. So why is video gaming important for social media? Because essentially it leads to things like Twitch.tv, which at its core is a social media platform and allows people to share themselves and put their personalities and their play styles out there into the world. And it's this unique kind of social media where it's a niche of people, but it's also a large niche of people, and they all have the platform and watch and interact with it. And so Twitch is very similar to YouTube in that anyone is allowed to stream, but there are a lot of big dreams out there. To become a really big streamer, you need to put a lot of time and effort into it and be good at what you do. And that's something that's appealing to a lot of people in Generation Z. And so this also leads to another social media platform called Discord, which is really unique. Well, not really unique, but it's like Slack for the video gaming community. And it also fills this niche that previously really didn't have anything else besides Skype, but Skype was essentially for everyone. And it differentiates itself from these generic video calling or calling platforms because it integrates directly with video games. There's a bar on Discord that shows up when you're playing a game, that you can see who you're talking to and who's playing with you. And it also tells your network on Discord when you open a game and what you're playing. So there's that whole social aspect that gaming adds and Discord fills for this generation. And so how has platforms like Discord become so popular? Essentially, it's because it has placed itself in this niche that really had nothing dedicated to it before. And it's built up this network effect. And I think that's really important to think about, this network effect where new gamers need to be on Discord because everyone else is on it. And it just continually builds its user base through that. And no other, unless a really strong competitor comes in, Discord will not be going anywhere really soon. And so network effects, I think, are really important to show how social media can adapt to Gen Z. Because in order to capture Gen Z engagement, you need to have a large amount of people on it and sharing it. And that's how you get people going, such as the video game community or even Tumblr communities and things like that. But finally, what adults are missing really is that they see us on our phones and our laptops, posting on social media, watching YouTube videos, and think we're wasting our time and that we're not doing anything valuable. Because for them, that was wasting time. They were used to working and doing things traditionally, but that's changed. And what's actually happening with us is that through social media, we're able to build movements and be activists and catalyze the spread of information and ideas with each other. And even tagging someone in a comment or something like that, tweeting, posting a small sentence, posting on Instagram, they're all spreading ideas and beliefs further around. And due to the nature of social media, they can reach greater audiences just by continuing to share. So a really good example of this is the response to the Parkland shooting that happened earlier in the year, and the response to that. So essentially, following that, a lot of young people went online and posted about gun control and things like that, and really created some micro influencers that weren't necessarily famous, but with the sheer amount of them, they were able to start a movement. And that's what brought this whole situation to limelight so far, because in previous shootings, it was always just media coverage and things like that really didn't blow up as huge as this shooting did. And another example of this is, I think, our founder, Ziad, who at his core is an activist. And he, before founding Juve, founded an organization called Redefy, which aimed to defy stereotypes and to open communication between people of different backgrounds and open that understanding and that link. And his whole belief has always been to do good and do what's right in society. And now he's verified on Twitter just from posting a lot and from gaining that audience organically. And it's just things like that really differentiate Gen Z, because older people believe that you can't really change anything if you're just one person posting. So essentially, in the end, Gen Z is story and identity driven. And we know we have the power to create and change on our own. We love sharing experiences with friends. We love finding people who share our interests and our quirks. And that has been made infinitely easier with the rise of social media networks and just things like that. And we love to have fun, of course, but in the end, we are serious about our ideas and beliefs, and we have a sense of underlying justice. And finally, we've moved on from this dated point of view that one person can't enact change, because with the age of social media, one person can definitely do that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's what you're missing about how Gen Z uses social media.
I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was very detailed and thorough. Thank you for giving me examples too.
I had to consolidate everything for the time we have, but
yeah,
hey, you're good, bud.
Yeah,
you're
no,
good. Hey, you're good. Don't worry about it. You budge. He's on time. You like it early, so you're early on time. Yeah.
I would say that over the past couple of years, I find myself just sitting there. I'm working, right? I'm building social content. I'm talking with my clients. I'm sending emails, sending out proposals, and I have video game streaming. I'm watching people play Fortnite and PUBG, and they're talking.
What strange language are you talking about?
So it's going on an island, and the island gets smaller and smaller, and you gotta fight your way through it.
Yeah.
So, but with that though, I watch this content. I'm watching these communities, and because of that, that's given me an opportunity to really. Elizabeth just popped in.
I got it. Hang on.
No,
Now. Hang on.
So, but with that though, it's also allowed me to start looking at other communities. I've even found that. So, if you're familiar with Musical.ly, right? Everyone gets on
Musical.ly.
There's actually another app out there called Like, just Like. Okay, And it's just like Musically. They have all these different filters where you can, like, you know, a portal opens up and you land, and, you know, portal sucks you up into the sky, and you can sing all these songs, and it's amazing. What blows my mind is I found this app, and I'm checking this thing out. I'm like, you know, this generation, they have just tens of thousands of followers. I've never heard about this thing. I've never know, it's not being advertised anywhere, but this community and all these people engaging, and you'll see these live feeds happening, and people are interacting with these individuals. They're playing their songs, they're dancing, maybe they're just sitting there talking about whatever it is, but it's not your traditional Facebook, it's not Instagram, it's not anything like that. So it's really amazing being able to see all these different channels that people are getting into. Which for me, I mean, it's really exciting. You know, it's definitely, you can definitely see the difference in these generations.
Elijah loves
it.
He's
Yeah, and I was just gonna say to that, it's crazy because these small communities, like you were talking about, like aren't just closed, right? They have the ability to leap into other forms of social media just from people knowing about them, and that's the power that social media has and how it can affect Gen Z. So it's pretty crazy.
No, it's awesome.
Well, Jacob, thank you so much.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you
for being early, coming on and enlightening us to Gen Z. I'm going to start looking at some things definitely different, and I think I'm going to change my Instagram game a little bit. So.
Yeah, add a little theme.
Add a little theme. That's what I'm going to do. Well, thank you so much. You have a wonderful rest of your evening. I hope you stay tuned in. And
say, how can we get a hold of him?
Oh yeah, how can we get a hold of you? Duh.
Okay, yeah.
People that want him to manage their stuff, you know.
We have a.
He's got a mini fan club.
You have a mini fan club going on in this feed. Your
really
icon.
Oh no.
Diana, Jacob, please manage my feed and aesthetic. Shout out to hey Jacob. You got a fan club going. So how can we get
so you can find us at juveconsulting.com. Personally, I can be reached at jacob@juveconsulting.com by email. Through my social media, you can just search up my name. But yeah, definitely those. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. You have a great evening.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.